You're listening to Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. We're coming to you from the unceded traditional territories of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh nations around Vancouver, BC. I'm your host, Bernadine Fox, and this is the show that dares to change how we think about mental health. Welcome to Rethreading Madness.
When I've never been further from knowing what the hell I'm gonna do. When I can't seem to find my way under or over or through.
Mad Pride is a series of events that is held across the globe in July of each year. And I'm going to read a little bit from Wikipedia here because it's so well crafted and it gives a very good idea about what Mad Pride is about and why it's important. Mad Pride is a mass movement of users of mental health services, former users, and the aligned, which advocate that individuals with mental health challenges should be proud of their mad identity. Mad Pride activists seek to reclaim terms such as mad, nutter, and psycho from misuse, such as in tabloid newspapers, and in order to switch it from a negative view to a positive view. Through mass media campaigns, Mad Pride activists seek to re-educate the general public on the causes of mental disability and the experience of those who use the mental health system and the global suicide pandemic. In Canada, as a response to the stigma and prejudices that people with lived experience face on a daily basis, a group of individuals developed Mad Pride in 1993 in Toronto, Ontario. Vancouver has had, over the years, to varying degrees, a Mad Pride movement. Many countries participate in Mad Pride, including Canada, the US, UK, and Ireland, and it has included cultural events in Toronto, London, Dublin, and other cities around the world where others can come and enjoy the music, poetry, film, and theater by mad people. The hope has been that this will raise awareness of the poor treatment of those with lived experience and the increasing widespread use of involuntary commitments and forced treatment. Today, on Rethreading Madness, I'm talking with Pierre Leichner, one of the organizers of Connection Salon and two of the individuals from the Mad Pride event held here in Vancouver, BC.
Co-op Radio is listener-supported and listener-owned. As a Co-op Radio member, you can join the broadcasters who create and present radio shows, as well as have a say in the station's management. You'll own a part of the station. All this for just as little as $5 a month. And tax-deductible too. For details, go to coopradio.org and press the donate button. That's coopradio.org.
You're listening to Rethreading Madness on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. I'm Bernadine Fox, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Pierre Leichner from Connection Salon, who's a part of organizing the Mad Pride event that just happened here in Vancouver, and also Human Girl and 88, two people that performed at the Mad Pride. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Pierre, you are a past, prior, former, however you want to describe it, academic psychiatrist who, I would say, fled, you might use a different word, the mental health field and took up being an artist. And you've been on our show before. Mm-hmm. So people certainly can find that if they want to go and hear a little bit more about that. But you have been a part of the Connection Salon now for several years, and the Connection Salon is a part of putting on Mad Pride. So can you tell me a little bit about Connection Salon and Mad Pride?
Sure. Thank you, Bernadine. Thank you for hosting us. Yeah, indeed. This is the first year for Connection Salon to be hosting Mad Pride Cabaret. The Connection Salon was formed basically in just at the onset of COVID in 2018, when a number of the artists from Gallery Gachet got together to find space for underrepresented artists and artists who have lived experience with mental health struggles to show their work in a low barrier space, exhibition space. And so we've been doing that since 2018. We have about 16 exhibitions under our belt now. And this year, since the beginning of the year, we've been showing at the Gathering Place Community Center in their theater and gallery space. We were fortunate, so there are about 10 of us in that group, all artists, and we are continuing to do that. There is presently at the Gathering Place, there is a show, visual arts show called Emotions of Summer, and it has about 12 artists there. And we decided this year, because we got a small grant from the city of Vancouver and the support of the Community Arts Council of Vancouver, and of course the Gathering Place as well, to host a Mad Pride Cabaret. Mad Pride, just briefly, the origins are 1993 in Toronto. It was started there as to be a kind of a festive event. And it was started then by what at that time were people who recognized themselves as psychiatric survivors of the institutions of the time. And it has since then kind of evolved, and the names have changed over the years, and as services and our social cultural change. But basically, MAD was the name that was chosen at the time to kind of regroup, to get away from any labels that are still prevalent in our field and are still being used and developed and changed every year. So the idea was to kind of find to regroup people who have had struggled with mental health issues, and like myself and others, and kind of create a fun event. I mean, the key word again is fun. A time to get together with everyone, and to showcase again the great talent that we have, and also to have fun. And I think that's really important, because one of the things that's underplayed is that actually getting together and fun is really good for mental health in general. It's very good for everyone. So it's an occasion to have some fun. So we decided this year to have the Mad Pride Cabaret from 3 to 6 at the Gathering Place at 609 Helmkin Street. There will be Human Girl will be the MC and will also perform throughout the event. But we have the Robin and Wren, 88 Way, GOLDbard, and HK are going to be the performers during that event as well. There will be free food and refreshments, so we hope that people who will have been there will have had a good time. And we hope that if it's successful, we'll do it every year. So that's a bit about the background to the event.
Yeah, it does. It sounds as if it was fun. And of course, the other thing it does is it challenges the stigma, the label that the only thing that's true about anyone who has a mental health challenge is that they are messed up, that right. They are incapable, that they are, desperate, suffering, the Van Gogh idea of what is a mental health challenge. And so it's an important kind of event because it does offer the rest of the world a different perspective on what it means to be mad. And of course, one of the things that I like about using the term mad is that it's re-owning a label that once has been used to be a derogatory term, and taking it back and changing it. So good. I'm glad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just want to say, you're absolutely right. Even though one can say there has been things have changed, and some of them in a positive way, but there is still such problems within the system that we're living every day, that system that is, has both in its approach and its way of delivering care to people and support with people who have mental health issues, and this I include addictions very much, still struggle. And stigma within our society is still there. So, that struggle and that anyway work we need to do on this is still there. And just lastly, I just want to say that, although, and as you mentioned, a global issue, Canada has a lot of work to do on this area, but in comparison to a lot of other countries, there are a lot of countries which are a lot, I may say, a lot worse in stigmatizing and really oppressing people who have mental health struggles. There are countries who are better as well. But there
are few places, though, that have the barbaric BC Mental Health Act that we live with and are faced with, that can cause so many problems for people, and really needs to be overhauled. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, Pierre, you've brought with you a couple of folks to talk about their participation in the Mad Pride event. One of them is 88, and the other one is Human Girl. Human Girl, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what brought you to Mad Pride?
Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Human Girl. I go by Human Girl. And I'm a professional hostess, comedian, drag queen, all the good stuff. I basically go by drag queen. I have a couple birthdays next weekend. I'm doing a bachelorette party. So booked and blessed for Pride. So thank you so much for having me at this Pride event. It truly, truly means a lot as a queer person to be working at this time of the year. I love doing people's events. Right now, outside of that, I'm going to fashion school, and I'm working on making my own costumes for fashion school.
Wow, that's very
my
cool.
Drag. Yeah,
that's very, very cool. Yeah,
I'm right now in the Blanche McDonald classroom. Nobody's here, but pacing back and forth, sewing. Yeah.
And so what is your attachment to Mad Pride?
Well, it speaks to me to be a part of this because I have definitely gone through it. Mentally, it's been apparent to me, especially during the pandemic. I don't know about a lot of people, but I had quite an awakening. Kundalini awakening, I think. That's what it was called. I was talking with a friend last night. We just went through those awakenings during Pride. During the pandemic.
Well, can you explain a little bit by what you mean by Kundalini awakening?
Yeah, it's a feminine sort of energy in Buddhism, I believe. And that really relates to the situation that I went through because I started drag during the pandemic in my bedroom.
Wow.
And I looked myself in the mirror and I was met with this sort of duality and a feeling of celebration, but it was more dimmed at that time by a feeling of being frightened and also exhaustion of queerness because I faced my transness in the mirror as not only a performer, but a queer person. Mm-hmm. And mentally with my depression that I already had, my anxiety, that was a lot to go through. Wow. But I started drag in the pandemic. So it's so go in the drag industry. So I appreciate being a part of this event because, I'm really able to sit down with a lot of, like-minded people that have gone through a mental health journey and just reflect and I would not be talking about this right now if I was, at numbers dancing. So I really appreciate this. It'd be a bit too loud in there for this sort of conversation.
So this kind of an aside, but it's not, just to respond to what you said, I think a lot of major shifts happened during COVID, and some of it was good and some of it was bad, and some of it has moved us forward and some has taken us back. But it's really interesting to hear how it's impacted on people's lives. And what I'm hearing you say is that it gave you the space to find a part of yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that, regular life is just so go, go, go. And to have that space was really essential to sit down. And I don't know if you've heard of the artist way. Have you?
No. The artist way. Of course I have. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
the artist way. So it gave me the time to do that. And what you said about good and bad, I think definitely there were some really uncomfortable feelings, some really, really, some devastating transitions, but there's always light that comes out of that death.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a lot of living and dying in COVID
and
in the
fear,
physical
mortality,
world.
and separation. And, one of the things that I learned about myself was that how much I used going out and interacting with people to kind of stay away from things that bothered me, right? Like just throw myself out into the social world, and that, that was good. But when with COVID, you couldn't do that. And so I was kind of left to my own crap, so to speak.
Yeah.
We just need to take a little break, but when we come back, folks, we're going to talk to 88. So we'll be right back.
All of these layers of unmasking happening around the pandemic, for me personally, is just a microcosm of what I see happening in our world right now. The pandemic stripped away those last few spoons that we had to hold on to our masks.
Dust of 1,000 days settled on my soul, and no amount of soap can get me clean. 1,000 tiny deaths have stained my heart. My gentle eyes are clouded o'er by sights best left unseen. I want to be.
We are so ready to say yes to ourselves and to believe that our joy matters in this world.
Could you part the clouds from my tired eyes so I can see like a newborn child? Could you wash the dust from my weary lips so I can kiss you for the first time? Could you heal the wounding scars so I can love with an unbroken heart? Could you wash away the stain? I want to be. I want to be. I want to be new. I want to be new like the sunrise, new like the pouring rain. Bathe me in your love and make me new again. I want to be new like the sunrise, new like the pouring rain. Bathe me in your love and make me new again. I want to be.
You're listening to Rethreading Madness on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. I'm Bernadine Fox, and I'm speaking with Pierre Leichner, 88, and Human Girl, who participated in the Mad Pride event that happened here in Vancouver, July 2023. So welcome back, folks. Pierre, I remember the first time somebody said to me, Mad Pride, what is that? And I got stuck. I sort of blustered and blah, blah, I just kind of said it's pride about being mad. And I saw on her face that it made absolutely no sense to her. It made sense to me. I mean, I understood it, but I wasn't explaining it well. And then certainly people don't think of pride automatically when they think about someone who's dealing with a mental health issue. We are conditioned to feel ashamed and to be quiet and not talk about it and to hide it and to act normal. And so I wanted to ask you about the concept of pride and specifically mad pride. How do those two things go together?
Well, I think you touched already on some of it, Bernadine, but I think it is really important that it is mad, and the word pride is really important because so many of us who struggle with mental health issues and so on carry deep inside shame, feelings of inferiority, these things that have been kind of through our society and our culture has been kind of sucked into our heads, and it just has just common sense. It just makes things worse, right? It doesn't help. So if you can, anything that can get the message out that no, you do not feel you should not feel ashamed. You should not feel inferior. You should actually, know that what you're suffering is real. It may actually, in many societies, be valued. And, it's just so anything that can chase away this and give people more of a sense of belonging, sense of pride. Again, common sense is just going to make things better. It's not going to do all the healing, but it is going to be one step towards giving a person the agency, the ability to heal. So that's why I really like personally the idea again of a Mad Pride month and a Mad Pride movement.
Yeah, where it fits for me as you're talking is that I go back to this thing. I sound like a broken record, but if we take all the diagnoses out of the DSM that are sort of rooted in trauma, and it's not me saying this is some psychiatrist who has said this, who's become well known for having said this, and please forgive me because I've forgotten his name, but he said that if you take out all the diagnoses that have trauma at its core, you'd have a pamphlet instead of this 400-page document. And what that says to me is that we have pathologized a normal response to trauma, and we should not be feeling shame that we have survived trauma, that we have managed to cope with it, however we cope with it, even if it's a bad coping skill, we have coped with it and we have survived and we're here, and we should be proud that's where we are. 88, you are a part of Mad Pride this year here in Vancouver. And I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. I believe you were born in another country and you have been here, but I don't know for how long. So perhaps you can give us a little bio.
Yes, for sure. I'll be more than happy to. I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. That is in West Africa. And I came over to Canada when I was 16 years of age. I've spent 10 years in Canada now. I came over here for school, did my high school in Toronto, Ontario, and I did my university in Ottawa, finished in civil engineering, and I got relocated to Vancouver, BC for work as a civil engineer. So that's what brought me over here to Vancouver. And I was going on my way to work, to site, and I did see a poster, and it was about like a performance in Vancouver, and I sent an email, reached out to them, and that's how I got here. I got an email and would love to, spread my sounds, my good vibes, and my story to the Mad Pride event.
So in all that you talked about in terms of being born in Lagos, Nigeria, and coming to Toronto, Canada, and doing school and going to university and being a civil engineer, the one thing you didn't mention is that you are a rapper.
That's correct. You
Yes.
know, like I call myself an engineering trapster because I'm more than a rapper. I'm also right now I'm a civil engineer from morning till 9 to 5, and from 5 to 9 I'm a rapper.
Right. And in your raps, is that what you call them? Do you call them raps? I'm old, so
I call them songs because I do sing as well.
Okay.
I do sing as well, but I'm very particular about lyrics and the message in the songs.
Right.
So that's why I grew up on good lyrical rap. So I try to portray that in my music. If I'm singing or rapping, I'm always trying to spread a message to the people, give them the organic vibes.
Right. So tell me about your songs.
So my songs, they're all freestyles. I don't write my songs. I've lived in so many countries in the world. I've met so many people. I've had a lot of experiences, and music is more like therapy for me. So usually when I have a very long day, overwhelming day, or if I'm feeling great and ecstatic, I always go to the studio and just talk about how I'm feeling, So in terms of my music, it's mostly mood music. It always puts you in a mood. So yeah, I just try to, uplift people and make them feel better than they're feeling right now.
Right. Right. And how do you feel about Mad Pride?
I feel great. Music is a language.
Yes.
Music is universal,
It is.
It's really universal. So I feel like, you could change the world through music, because it's much harder to sit through like a listening session or like an interview or a seminar, but you could go to a concert, you could watch YouTube videos, you could listen to a playlist for hours, and it holds on to you for longer, because of the vibrations, because of the message, because of the performance. So I feel, it has a long-lasting effect on people. So music is very powerful. And understanding that, I try to, utilize it the best way I can.
Mm-hmm. I think that people underestimate the power of music. I think a lot of people love listening to it and may not really fully understand why they love it. But from everything I know, and I'm not a musician, I can barely sing. But from everything I know, music is something, like you said, it's a universal language, but it also reaches into all those nonverbal places inside us and speaks to those places. My oldest daughter has a drug addiction, and when I took on raising my oldest grandchild, I was panicked that this would also be her fate. And so I went running around like a chicken, trying to find something that would prevent this from happening for her. And the only thing I found, the only thing I found was that a stat. And it said that children, people who play music or are part of music are, have a certain percentage less chance of becoming involved in drugs. And so I jumped on it and put my 4-year-old grandchild into music lessons every week. And I'm glad I did. Music became a big part of her life and still is a big part of her life. So it's an okay thing. But music, and also, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there is I wish I remembered names of things. I just remember the experience. And there's this therapy sort of thing that you can do because sound, we're made out of water. And so if you make sound, it impacts us from the water perspective. And you do these sounds. And as I say this, somebody who's listening will remember what it's called, but you go through the AEIO stuff and you do it and it resonates all the way through your body. And it's very grounding. So when you're playing music and getting into all of that, how does that impact on you? Like, I know when I sing, it's just, it's not something that goes to my heart necessarily, but I suspect musicians are a little different.
Well, for me, I don't play no instruments, so my voice is pretty much my instrument. Mm-hmm. I mainly sing, rap, and produce my sounds, but for me, it's the term organic vibes only. It came from me creating music because it was something I didn't have to think too much about. I didn't grow up thinking I would ever make music. My mom enrolled me in piano and guitar lessons, and I never wanted to go for those. I wanted to go outside and play soccer. So it was when I was in university studying engineering, and my day is filled with calculations, so I need to distress, and not worry about laboratory and all those other lectures. So listening to an instrumental, that's the first body reception I feel from the instrumental, from the beat. As soon as the beat starts playing, it just goes direct. I don't know, like it circles around my brain and I feel it in my heart, and my heart starts beating, and the words like in my head, I just see lyrics in my head, like literally, like it's a whole page of lyrics and I'm just reciting it. So for me, the instrument is where it starts from. It has like, I don't know how to explain it, but the vibration is running through my body. It just does something and I'm able to just express myself fully. So also I've done a lot of vocal training on my voice because that's pretty much the only instrument I have. So I go through days where every day I try to spit new freestyles. I try to spit new lyrics, and it's like a lubrication for my brain, pretty much, and that's just how the bodily sensations works for me from the instruments and from my voice. I just feel it in my heart and I just go with the flow. Organic vibes only.
We're going to play one of your songs here. Can you tell us a little bit about that song?
Yes, I have a new song I just dropped in June last month. It's called One Shot. The reason why it's titled One Shot is because in life, all it really takes is one shot. Like one shot could take you from $1 to $1 million. One shot could take you from sad to happy. And when I say one shot, I mean like an opportunity, like you just have to be open to receiving the opportunity and be open-minded and putting your time, your energy into that one opportunity or one chance you have and fully believe in yourself. So this song is very motivational and very uplifting. Whoever is listening to it, if there's something you've been wanting to do and a business proposal, an idea, a course you wanted to study, if you wanted to start painting, you wanted to start doing music, you wanted to start producing, just take that one shot and fully believe in yourself. And all it takes is one shot, one step in the right direction, and you're already in your journey. So.
Mm-hmm. So if you could be doing civil engineering or singing all day, what would it be?
You know, I ask myself this question every day. And for the longest, it was going to be singing.
Right.
For the longest, it was going to be music. But that was while I was in school, because school was so stressful. But now I'm working in my career. I love my job. I love what I'm doing. And I'm proud to say, like, you know, I don't really know too many people like me that are working as a civil engineer and still actively performing and producing music. So I'm happy I'm like a one of one doing what I love, and hopefully I can motivate and inspire people to not. You don't have to stop something, you know, like you can do both, you know.
Right.
We have 24 hours in a day and we just got to make use of our time. So I'm happy doing both.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Human Girl mentioned the artist way. And of course, the premise of that book is that your left brain is your logical brain and your right brain is your creative brain. And I think they've kind of figured out that that's not completely true anymore. But what you have done is, regardless of what side of the brain it is, you have managed to find a way to marry your logical and creative brains and have them work together. That's great. We need to just take a little break, folks, but we'll be right back. Hi everyone, this is Bernadine Fox from Rethreading Madness that airs on Vancouver Co-op Radio every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM, is a unique nonprofit community radio station and podcast recording studio that provides a voice for those underrepresented in the mainstream media. They provide the airwaves for Rethreading Madness to examine mental health from individual and important perspectives. They do so with donations from folks like you. If you have appreciated Rethreading Madness and are able to donate, you can do so in 3 ways. With a credit card, you can visit www.coopradio.org. That's www.coopradio, all one word, .org, and hit the donate button on the top right-hand side of the screen. Then follow the directions. Or you can mail a check to 370 Columbia Street in Vancouver, BC, V4A 4J1. Or you can e-transfer your donation directly to admin@coopradio.org. That's admin. A as in Apple, D as in David, M as in Mary, I, and N as in Norman @coopradio.org. Make sure to note Rethreading Madness with your donation. And then come join us every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Until then, stay safe out there.
CFRO has the most reggae and Caribbean music of any station in the Vancouver area. Start your week off with some reggae oldies on Tuesdays from 10:30 a.m. to noon with Level the Vibes. Roots Reggae is on Fridays from midnight to 7 a.m., The Reggae Show from 6 to 8:30 p.m. every Saturday, followed by Caribbean Sounds from 8:30 to 11 p.m. On the first and second Saturday of every month, it's a Reggae Extended Mix from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and then Super Mix on the third, fourth, and fifth Saturday on CFRO 100.5 FM, Vancouver Cooperative Radio.
You're listening to Rethreading Madness on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. I'm Bernadine Fox, and I'm sitting down virtually, of course, with Pierre Leichner from Connection Salon, Human Girl, MC here in Vancouver, BC, and 88 rapper who currently lives in Vancouver, BC as well, about Mad Pride that happened here in July in Vancouver, BC. So one of the things I wanted to ask you folks is, what does the future hold for you? Where are you going from here?
I'll start off going. I wanna connect with more people, so that means doing more shows, doing more outdoor events, meet and greets. Also, even hosting a workshop, because I do, as well as I do sing and rap, I also do mix and master my vocals. I do produce my songs as well. So I'm looking forward to just hosting informative sessions and just be an approachable point of contact for the people in the city. And most importantly, being born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria, coming over to Canada, I do love youth diversity in this country. And in Vancouver, growing up in Ottawa and Toronto, where it's heavily diverse, and moving over to Vancouver, I can't wait to see, more people from different nationalities come over to this beautiful city of Vancouver, where the weather is perfect, the nature is beautiful, the people are amazing, the lifestyle is not as hectic, and just, let's keep creating and making the city more beautiful in the country itself.
How long have you been here, 88?
I've been in Vancouver for 1 year and 3 months, and Canada for 10 years.
Okay. No, I was thinking Vancouver because you mentioned beautiful weather. And of course, right now we are having beautiful weather. If you like sun, lots of people don't. But we can have rain that goes on forever and ever and ever. So that does get to some people who've just moved here. But after a year, you sort of know what you're in for here. If people want to contact you, 88, how do they do that? How do they find you?
My favorite social media is Instagram. I like the way you could chat, you could post a video, you could post a photo, you could DM, you could like, it's super interactive. You could go live as well. So if you're on Instagram, you have Instagram, please reach out to me at 88way. That's 28 way with 2 Y's. 88WAYY.
So 88WAYY. Yes. At Instagram. Okay. All right. Human Girl, where does life take you from here?
Oh my gosh, I was just listening to the rain and it made me want to move down to LA. That's where my family is. I miss my family. So eventually over there, or coerce them to come up here to BC. That would be so nice.
Yeah.
I miss my parents. Besides family that I would love to live closer to, I think professionally, show producing, more like still performing in drag full time, doing people's birthday parties, like performing up and down Davie Street is always fun. But in the future, I think show producing drag events and, you know, being more in charge of things, being my own boss. That's everybody's dream.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've been living that dream. Yay.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, it is wonderful. It's I don't really take to being ordered about. I want to ask you a personal question. Of course, we live very close, and you've just mentioned LA. We live close to the United States, and there's some pretty hellish things happening in the States that I know they impact on me and they scare the hell out of me. And I can't imagine, I can't imagine, but I'm not even sure I'm close, what that's like for people who are drag queens here in Canada to be watching the hell that's happening in the United States. What is that like for you?
Oh, wow. There's, you know, two things. That's how I love to talk, because there's always a spectrum, two opposite sides. There's the me, the self, where I am so grateful and so happy to be in Canada when I look at America and all of the violence that's going on there with trans people in particular, as well as so many drag performers. Being a gender queer performer here, I feel like I'm afforded such a privilege, because I'm able to get medical help more or less fast here. And in America, that is becoming more and more hard to do. So yes. I'm so grateful to be here. And on the opposite side, it's bigger than I am. And I don't know what to do other than to hold the people I know close that are trans and are in the States, and are performing in drag. I think that's becoming more and more brave, which is kind of an unfortunate word to use, but someone has to do it and be queer down there. So.
Hasn't it always been brave, though? I mean, certainly.
Yeah.
There are pockets of people who accept, and it's not a brave thing, but I think at any point you're up against somebody who is willing to be unkind or be horrible or just be dangerous because of what you're doing. And, you know, I think right now a lot of people in the United States have been given permission to be jerks and horrible to people, and but I think it's always been brave to do that. But I'm not a drag queen and I'm not trans, and so I'm probably speaking out of turn.
Well, thank you for that question.
Do you ever fear that that's going to happen here?
In Vancouver, I think we're afforded the most safe place in Canada, but I know in Calgary, one of my friends, they were just shot with an air rifle during a drag show in full drag. And also, you know, one of my friends, I don't know if I'll say names because I don't know if I want if they want this to get out, but they were just asking like, oh, I have to go to Shoppers to get hairspray. It's like in the middle of the night. Usually I would go across the street, no problem. But they said, can you come with me? I'm scared to go out alone because it's pitch black. And I'm sure in Calgary that they would be, you know, followed, or they've experienced some sort of assault, which to my degree, I would be cackled on the street, which is, you know, very, very irritating, but not as extremely irritating and violent as in Calgary and other parts of Canada. So,
well, I was born in Calgary. I was raised outside of Calgary. I feel like I have the right to criticize it because of that. And Calgary is still very much a redneck city, and their premier that they have now is taking it even farther. So whatever gains were being made there are being undone. So
Yeah.
I do think people do have to be careful. So
And politically involved locally. Yeah.
yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we need to really be careful as we vote going forward to strategically vote so that we are keeping Canada safe and keeping the progress we've made so that people can be who they are and just be who they are. I don't know why that's a big deal. Pierre, what's the future for Connection Salon? And before we go, please tell me again about the current exhibition happening. So what's the future for Connection Salon?
Okay, well, thank you. Before I go into that, I just want to say I do also have a kind of personal art practice, and for the future, I'm looking at a number. My work is around environmental art or environmental issues, and also the connection to mental health. And I'm going to have a couple of shows, one in Gibson in the fall, and one at Port Coquitlam Outlet Gallery. One on the theme of black holes and gravitational waves, which is something quite different. And the other one is on immigration, that the issue of immigration and how it affects artists like ourselves.
Hey, I think I saw some of your work on black holes and gravitational waves. Haven't I?
Yeah, it's been, yes.
It was at Britannia Gallery, was it not? Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So I was the curator there at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, great stuff. That's
keeps
good.
going on. And then I'm also to plug the Vancouver Outsider Art Festival. That's going to be in October, the middle of the month at the Roundhouse. And that's some 50 visual artists and another 20 or so performers will be performing over 5 days. That show has been growing every year. And it shows again the need to have more places for performers and visual artists to perform and to show their talent.
Absolutely.
So that's October. As far as the Connection Salon, where we are we've finished, we are doing a series of shows. The first one was Emotions of Spring. We are doing Emotions of Summer now. And you might guess the next one is Emotions of Fall. And that's going to be starting in September. The present show will be coming down August 18th. It'll stay at the Gathering Place till then. And then 12 12 artists will be showing their perceptions and their work around the emotions of fall starting in September. And then following that, again, you might guess, emotions of winter. And that will take our year through our year with Connection Salon.
Right.
And we're also planning some sort of workshop at the Gathering Place during that period of time in the winter. That hasn't really been set yet.
Right.
So that's a bit... as far as Connection Salon is concerned.
So, Pierre, if people want to become involved in the Connection Salon, how is the best way for them to do that?
Okay, so we put out an artist call. There's an artist call presently. So if you go simply to the Connection Salon, one word, on your Google, you should be able to come up to connections to our website at the Gathering Place. And the call for artists will be posted on that.
Okay.
And then you just follow the instructions. And,
all right. That's good. And Human Girl, how would people connect with you if they would like to?
Yeah, my main social media is at The Real Human Girl, not the fake one, at The Real Human Girl. And my artist name on Spotify and all music platforms is Human Girl.
Okay. Cool.
What else? Yeah. If you got a birthday party, I heard people have those, book me.
That's good. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me about this. It's an important thing that happens. And when Vancouver does not have a Mad Pride event happening, I'm always a little sad that it hasn't happened. So I'm glad this one has happened and hopefully will happen again next year.
Absolutely. It's a really important time to be sensitive about people with mental health issues. And yeah. I'm appreciative. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, folks. And we'll be right back.
Tanuyap. Kuiget Yuans Queensna. Hi everybody, my name is Quigate Iwans. I'm a member of the Squamish Nation and the Yagalanis clan of the Haida Nation. You're listening to Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. We live, work, play, and broadcast from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations.
Before we sign off today, I want to let folks know that the Highs and Lows Choir, who have been on this show before, are holding a free choral singing workshop with a guest clinician. Her name is Leva Wool. For those of you who do not know, Highs and Lows is a low-barrier choir for people who live with mental health challenges along with friends and supporters. The workshop will be at the Vancouver Unitarians at 949 West 49th Avenue on Thursday, September 7th from 1 to 3. So that's Vancouver Unitarians, 949 West 49th Avenue on Thursday, September 7th from 1 to 3 p.m. And it's open to anyone in the mental health community, but you have to register ahead of time, and you can do that by emailing them at highsandlowschoir@gmail.com. So that's highs and, spelled out, not the symbol, Highs and Lows Choir, all one word, at gmail.com. Or you can call them at 778-331-4387, 778-331-4387, and just do that by August 24th to secure your spot. And on that note, I think they're always kind of looking for new members. So if it's something that you feel that you want to participate in, give them a call and let them know what you might need to participate. And yeah, they're a great bunch of people. Don't forget that Rethreading Madness is now aired here in Vancouver and then in Lethbridge and then in Winnipeg throughout the week. You can also find us on the Mental Health Radio Network or wherever you download your podcasts. My thanks to Pierre Leichner, the Human Girl, and 88 for joining me today to discuss their participation in Mad Pride here in Vancouver 2023. My thanks also goes out to GOLDbard, 88, and Sherry Ulrich for the gift of their music. But more importantly, and as always, my thanks goes out to you for joining us today. Stay safe out there. You've just listened to Rethreading Madness, where we dare to change how we think about mental health. We air live on Vancouver Co-op Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. or online at coopradio.org. If you have questions or feedback about this program, or want to share your story, or have something to say to us, we want to hear from you. You can reach us by email, rethreadingmadness@coopradio.org. This is Bernadine Fox. We'll be back next week. Until then.
When I've never been further from knowing what the hell I'm gonna do, when I can't seem to find my way under or over or through, just when I'm ready to give up the fight, there you are when we turn out the lights, and it's alright, it's alright, don't you worry, it'll be alright. Why do I always believe it when you tell me everything's gonna be alright? Yeah. Why don't I wonder how you know? Well, sure.